Om Namo Narayana Maharaj, Jai Sri Ramakrishna.
Om Namo Narayanaya. We shall begin today's session with the prayer. Sthaya cha dharmasya Maswarupine. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of the life of householder disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. We were looking into the life of Surendranatha Mitra. The master never asked Surendra to give up drinking altogether. But thenceforth, Surendra would not drink at parties or whenever he felt like it. Following Sri Ramakrishna's advice, he offered a little wine to the Divine Mother every evening before drinking it himself. Curiously enough, this action filled Surendra with devotion. After a while, he began to cry plaintively like a child for the Divine Mother. And he wanted to talk only of the Divine Mother. He would often become absorbed in deep meditation. Sri Ramakrishna's subtle spiritual influence gradually transformed Surendra, and the bad effects of wine could not harm him anymore. So that was the way, in a very intelligent way, Ramakrishna made Surendra to give up the habit of drinking alcohol. What happens when God holds a person? First, his sensitive ego is crushed. Now we all know we try to hold the hands of the Lord. So while walking on the path, the ridge of the paddy field, in between there will be space for walking, and everywhere there will be the green paddy field with lot of water and slush and mud. So when the father is moving with his child on this ridge, if the child is catching hold of the father's hand, then there are chances that the child might lose the balance, or his hands might slip from the hands of the father and he may fall into that water in the paddy field and get muddy. But on the contrary, if the father is holding the hands of the child, then whether the boy, the child slips, or he may jump, he may do any gymnastics, whatever he might do, the child, if the father is holding the hand of the child, then there are no chance of the child falling down into the water. So when the Lord holds our hands, we are in safety. What happens when God holds a person? First, the sensitive ego. Ego of everybody is sensitive. You touch the ego. In India, there is a plant, touch me not. So if you touch the leaf of that plant immediately folds all its leaf and it shrinks back. That is the nature of that plant. So our ego is also very sensitive. If anybody hurts the ego, then those people try to shrink away. So, what will the Lord do when He is leading us in the spiritual life? When God happens to hold a person, first the person's sensitive ego is crushed and he becomes humble, vinayata, humble. The more we go nearer to God, the more humbler we become. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Vidya dadati vinayam. Vinayam yanti patratvat. So Vidya dadati vinayam. The more real knowledge or real education we get, the humbler we become. We become more humble and humble. The more knowledge, the more education, true education we get, should tend, or the natural tendency is to become humble. Why? Then we come to know that we have got so less knowledge. The more the knowledge we get in our life, the more education we get in our life, then we come to know how less we have got compared to the amount of knowledge present in this universe. We are nowhere. So our knowledge is very, very puny. So it makes us humble. But the less knowledge we have, we think we are the most greatest person with little one degree or one master degree. We tend to become egoistic. It will make us more egotistic, and nobody can catch hold of us. A little money and a little education will make us so egoistic. There is a funny story of Sri Ramakrishna. There was one frog. It had its house on the road, and one day an elephant was passing by that road. So any animal going through that road has to cross. Thank God the elephant didn't stamp the house of the great frog. So it crossed it maybe out of compassion. Now the frog which was inside the house came out of it, it got angry against that big elephant. You just imagine now, frog, just like cartoon movies, just imagine the frog lifting up its leg, hind leg to kick the elephant. It got so wild and angry against the elephant inconvenience. There was some internet problem. So now, since I'm in Bangalore in a guest house, so there the Wi-Fi facility is a little weak. So I had to go to the place where the Wi-Fi facility is a little strong. So now I shall continue the discussion on the life of Surendranath Mitra. Sorry for the trouble. So speaking about that frog, so then Ramakrishna, while telling this story, he tells, why did this frog, in spite of it being so puny and tiny against that big elephant, still tried to kick that elephant? And Ramakrishna tells there was a coin, 1 rupee coin or 1 rand inside the house of the frog. So that money made the frog a little egoistic. What little more egoistic? It would have lost its life. So like that, when we get a little knowledge and little money, we tend to become egoistic. So that may be detrimental, whatever. But the opposite is true in spiritual life. The more spiritual we become, the more knowledge we get, the more humble we become, humbler we become. So now, ego is the main impediment. Ramakrishna tells that ego is Maya. He gives the example, suppose there is a mound. So you pour water on it. What happens? The water doesn't collect, it flows away. Likewise, if we have the mound of ego in our heart, God will be always trying to pour His grace upon us, but that ego will not allow the grace of the Lord to collect. It will fritter, it will make that grace of God to flow away. But on the contrary, suppose there is a hollow, there is a pit, then the water collects in that. Likewise, if you have the pit of humility, then the grace of God, the more bigger the pit, Vinayata, the more humbler you are, the more grace of God you can collect. So, here the ego is crushed as you move forward in spiritual life, and now any person becomes humble and humble. Secondly, the person who is becoming more spiritual, he cannot enjoy the mundane things, and his mind will be thinking more and more about God. It will dwell on God. And the third, he feels an irresistible attraction for God and also holy company. So holy company is the one thing which can give us love of God, bhakti, and also vairagya. That's why satsanga is always encouraged. So people who are tending to get more devotion, when they get more attracted towards God, there will be an irresistible attraction to holy company. It was obvious that Master had taken responsibility for Surendra. He knew that Surendra was a gem covered with worldly mud. A little cleaning, a little washing, removed the mud, and then took Surendra into his inner circle. The Master never scolded Surendra for his drawbacks, for his bad habits. And what did he do? How could he conquer? How could he remove the bad habits, the bad tendencies, samskaras in Surendra? By pouring out his love and affection. On this disciple, he conquered his heart. So that is the best way, I think. But some people need, because of their tendencies, a little harsh treatment. But most of the cases, this medicine works. What is that? Intense affection, pouring out love and affection on the disciple, he conquered his heart. One day, while Surendra was meditating in his shrine, suddenly the idea came to him. What a peculiar idea! He decided to test his Guru Sri Ramakrishna. So he decided to test Sri Ramakrishna's divinity. He thought if Master Sri Ramakrishna would appear before him in the shrine, he thought if Ramakrishna could appear before him there, then and there, immediately in the shrine, he would consider Sri Ramakrishna to be an avatar. Strangely enough, Surendra clearly saw the Master 3 times in his shrine. Now all his doubts vanished about the divinity of Sri Ramakrishna, and he started firmly believing then onwards that Sri Ramakrishna was the avatar. So we shall go through that again. It will increase our faith. One day, while Surendra was meditating in his shrine, queer idea came to him. He decided to test Sri Ramakrishna's divinity. He thought if the Master would appear before him in the shrine, he would consider Ramakrishna to be an avatar. Strangely enough, Surendra clearly saw Sri Ramakrishna 3 times in the shrine. So all his doubts were dissolved. Surendra had a very responsible position in his office. But from time to time, he would feel an overwhelming desire to leave everything, give up his work in the office, his position, high position, everything. So, overwhelming desire to leave everything and go to Master. He wanted to give up everything, then go to Sri Ramakrishna. One day, he left his office to go to Dakshineshwar, even though he had not finished his work. When he arrived, he found that Sri Ramakrishna was preparing to go to Calcutta. Seeing Surendra, Sri Ramakrishna said, "It's good that you have come. I was anxious about you and was going to Calcutta to see you. Here in Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna is getting ready to go to Calcutta to visit his disciple. And there in the office, the disciple, Surendra, is intensely feeling to give up everything and go to Ramakrishna. In spite of the office hours, in spite of the work, he just gave up everything and he started for Dakshineshwar. When he came there, to his surprise, he found that Ramakrishna was also getting into the horse carriage to leave to Calcutta, and that too to go to Surendra's place itself. Now Ramakrishna, when he saw Surendra, the Master said, "It's good that you have come. I was anxious about you and was going to Calcutta to see you." Surendra was amazed and delighted to know that Sri Ramakrishna had been thinking of him. So what would be the joy? Suppose you come to know that the Lord was thinking about you. You were thinking about the Lord and the Lord was also thinking about you. How happy will you feel? So Surendra was amazed and delighted to know that Sri Ramakrishna had been thinking about him. He humbly said, "If you were going out to see me, then please come to my house. The master agreed and went with Surendra to bless his house. Surendra's love for the master grew deeper and deeper. The master also showed him so much of affection. He loved his disciple Surendra dearly. Swami Shardananda wrote in Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, the Divine Mother showed him, that is Sri Ramakrishna, that 4 suppliers of provisions for Ramakrishna had been sent to the world. So Divine Mother had already sent before the birth of Sri Ramakrishna 4 supplier of provisions to Sri Ramakrishna wherever he would be. Mathurnath Vishwas. Then now Surendranath Mitra was one of them. So Shardanandaji is writing in the great master, the Divine Mother showed Sri Ramakrishna in a vision that 4 suppliers of provisions for Ramakrishna had been sent to the world. Surendranath Mitra, whom Sri Ramakrishna called Surendar and sometimes Suresh, was, he said, a half supplier of provision to the Avatara. And Surendra used to make arrangements for the food and bedding for other devotees who spent nights with Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar to serve him. There is a saying, if you have money, the traditional saying, the scriptures tell us, if a person is rich, if he has money, he has to give it in charity. Then if you don't have money, what to do? Then repeat your mantra, repeat the name of the God. If you have money, if you have strength in your body, if you have intellect in your head, in your mind, then serve people by giving them the charity. Whatever you have, give them, either your knowledge, either your money. So if you have money, give in charity. If you don't have money, then repeat your mantra. So repeating your mantra, you can offer the benefit to others too. Sri Ramakrishna appreciated Surendra's large-hearted nature. On February 22, 1885, Yam recorded the following conversation in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, large-heartedness, giving, sharing with people is not an easy task. It's very, very difficult. See, from the animal kingdom, we have come from the microbes evolving and evolving, taking new births, and now we have got the human birth. So there is a saying that the genes is selfish, the selfish genes. So that selfishness, everything for myself, I should be protected, I should be given first everything. So that privilege, all that idea comes from the animal kingdom, to the selfishness, so selfish genes. So we don't like to give at all, we like to collect everything, get everything. So that is the animal nature. So when we get into human life, combined with this animal nature of selfishness, now the greed, we have intellect, so combined with that, this combination becomes very deadly, becomes so selfish. We don't tend to give at all, we have become so selfish. Everything we enjoy so much, we go on changing our lifestyle, we go on unnecessarily increasing our lifestyle because of our selfishness. Then a little problem, a little money problem, or you are put out of the job, then suddenly you are on the streets, no money, you'll be in trouble. So then you note that the ego tends to get crushed at that time. So there is a saying that people who have sensitive nature, means who are sensitive to things, if they understand, learn the lesson, then the words, the beatings of the words are enough. But people who are dullards, people who are thick skinned, they need corporeal punishment, beatings. So the nature, our karma will give us heavy beatings and hittings, and we have to learn the hard way. Never mind, that's a different thing. But to have large heartedness is not so easy. Natural tendency of our human nature is collecting everything, getting everything, never giving anybody, never sharing. So that idea of helping others is very, very rare, because we have seen so many varieties of people. They make promises. They'll tell, oh, we will do that, we will do this. That's only to please others. But in reality, so selfish, they don't want to give. Never mind, that is the will of the Lord, it happens as it is. But here, Surendra was a very, very large hearted person, unselfish attitude. So, God appreciates the more unselfish you become, the more you go towards God, you become God yourself. Why? As Swami Vivekananda puts it, God is unselfish. Unselfishness is God. Why do we revere mother and father as God? Because of their unselfishness for the family. Why do we revere saints and gurus? Because of their unselfishness. So the more unselfish you are, the more you are nearer to God. This wonderful quality of Surendra, of large-heartedness, whatever he had, he used to share and give and give. So Ramakrishna loved this nature of his disciple. There is a saying, if you have money, give in charity. If you don't have money, repeat your mantra. Sri Ramakrishna appreciated Surendra's large-heartedness, large-hearted nature. On February 22, 1885, M recorded the following conversation in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Master to Surendra, this is the conversation in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Master is telling to Surendra, Surendra, come here every now and then. Nangta, so Nangta was the name of Totapuri. So the Advaita Guru of Sri Ramakrishna, his name was Totapuri, he was called as Nangta. So Nangta used to say that the brass pot must be polished every day to keep it shining and bright. Otherwise, there will be marks and it will get dull. Otherwise, it gets stained. So one should constantly live in the company of good people, holy men. Then your mind will become bright. It doesn't stagnate. When you are in the company of holy men, you get by the satsanga the good ideas and love for God and vairagya, detachment. That's why Ramakrishna is quoting Nangta Totapuri. Come here now and then. He is asking Surendra to come to him, to Ramakrishna, because he used to talk about God and God alone. Nangta used to say that the brass pot must be polished every day, otherwise it gets stained. So one should constantly live in the company of holy men, satsanga. The renunciation of lust and gold is for sannyasis. They have to give up. The renunciation for lust and gold is compulsory for sannyasis. It is not for you, householders. Now and then you should go into solitude and call on God with a yearning heart. So you have to go to solitude, where solitude means nirjana pradesha. Nirjana pradesha means where there will be no disturbance of any people, where you will be not influenced by the ideas of different people. You are alone with God. Then you can concentrate, you can think, you can focus on God. That's why Ramakrishna used to advise the householders to go to solitude, Nirjana Pradesha. But where to get the Nirjana Pradesha? Where will you get in this city or in the town where you are? It's very difficult. We go to different parks, we go to different resort centers, we go to entertainment center, but none of us go to solitude to think of God. So here Ramakrishna is telling, now and then we have to go live in the company of holy men. The renunciation of lust and gold is for sannyasis. Lust is kama and gold is greed. So intense passion and greed. So the renunciation, to give it up, that is for sannyasis. It is not for you householders. But now and then you should go into solitude, ekantavasa, nirjana pradesha, and call on God with a yearning heart. So where shall we find the nirjana pradesha or the solitude? In the city here? There is another thing or another idea given by Ramakrishna. What is that? Is to tell nirjana pradesha or ekantavasa or solitude is mone, kone, one. Nobody can peep into your mind. You are alone there. So you can get into your own mind. That there you can get the solitude, mone, kone. In your house, in your office, there will be a corner, there will be a place where nobody will come. You can go there. Nowadays, I think most of the corporate offices, they provide a prayer room too. There will be gymnasium, there will be prayer room, there will be so many other things. So likewise, you can go there, solitude, and sit there and think of God. Mone, kone, in a corner, in a room where people don't come, even in your house, in the corner, or you can go to the terrace where nobody will be there, or to the garden. Vane. Vane is the garden. Vana. Garden or forest, mountain, hill, dale. We can go there alone, sitting and thinking of God. Then you can feel the presence of God. So in solitude, you can feel the presence of God in your own heart or everywhere. Mone, kone, vane. So Ramakrishna is to tell that now and then the householder should go into solitude and call on God with a yearning heart. That yearning heart is very, very important. Vyakulata. What is Vyakulata? An example can be given. Just imagine the mother as a small child. When she was cooking or doing some other work, somehow the child has escaped. You cannot find the child anywhere. Then you go on frantically searching for the child. For a long time you go here and there, you cannot find the child anywhere. Then what will be the condition of that mother? So that state of the mind of the mother to find the child, if you have for God, that you have lost that wonderful precious thing, even more precious than your child, than your husband, than your wife, than your father, mother, or anybody in this world, it is God. He is the nearest. Now you don't feel that you have lost him, you don't feel the need of him. So you should get that Vyakulata, yearning that I should find God, just like the mother feels for the lost child. Or another example given, wonderful example given by Ramakrishna is, one of the disciples asked his Guru, when shall I get God? How shall I get God? Then Guru didn't answer him directly. They used to go to bath early in the morning to the river, maybe Ganga river. So now they have gone. The disciple dipped in the river. Now the Guru took hold of the situation, got hold of the neck and head of the disciple, and he didn't allow the disciple to come out of the water. So 1 second, 2 second, 10 second, 30 second, 40 second, 50 second, 60 second, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. The disciple started struggling in the water for a single puff of breath. He's panting, he's struggling to get the air. Now, yet the Guru is not allowing him to come up, he's holding him in the water. So, when it was about to break, when he could no more withstand, maybe now the water will enter into the lungs, then immediately he allowed the disciple to come up of the water and breathe. You can just imagine what would be his condition. How would he be struggling for a small volume of air? Then, with all the gasping and all the other things, he told, "What did you do? Guru, what did you do to me?" Yes, now, what was your condition? How did you feel for the air? I explained, "Oh my God, I thought I will die if I don't now take the breath inside. I thought I will die." So if you, just like you felt for that air, that eagerness to have air, what was that eagerness? What was that yearning for you? If you can feel for God like that, then immediately you will get God realization. That is yearning for God. That is Vyakulata. So now Ramakrishna is telling, in solitude you should pray to God with great yearning heart. Now and then you should go into solitude and call on God with yearning heart. So for householders, the renunciation is internal, mental. So you pray to God, now and then go, meditate, shed tears, with yearning heart pray to the God. So for you people, for householders, the renunciation like the sannyasins is not external, it should be mental. For you, Surendra is being addressed here by Ramakrishna in the Gospel. For you, as Chaitanya said, the disciplines to be practiced are, what are the disciplines? Kindness to the living beings, service to the devotees, and chanting the name of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his teachings to the devotees, to the householder bhaktas, is given that wonderful teaching. And what is that? Ramakrishna himself is telling, for you householders, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, recently when I came to India, after visiting Kamarpukur for Navaratri, I went to this birthplace of one of the greatest acharyas, the Avatar Purusha of Vaishnavas, offshoot of which there are so many Vaishnava ashramas, and one of them, one of the smallest offshoot is ISKCON. There are so many other devotees who are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One small offshoot is ISKCON. So I had been to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace in Mayapur. So and I visited all the birthplace and the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu studied when I went to Navadvipa. Now, Ramakrishna is telling Surendra, for you householders, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, what are the disciplines to be practiced for the householders? Kindness to the living beings, to all the living beings you should be kind. But some of the people are so kind to dogs and cats, but with human beings they'll be very, very harsh. They will pour out their kindness and love on the animals, but when it comes to human beings they are so harsh. I can't understand why the animals, the human beings are not included in the animal kingdom. Is it? Are they separate? I don't know why they are so harsh on the human beings. They too suffer and they make others suffer too. But here, what is the teaching given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Kindness to all living beings, not only cats and dogs and cows, but to all living beings. Karuna, Daya, Jive, Daya. So kindness to living beings, service to the devotees, and chanting the name of God. Why do I say all of this to you? Surendra, do you know why I am telling? Why do I say all this to you? You, Surendra, work in a merchant's office. I say this to you because you have many duties to perform there in the office. You tell lies at the office. While you're working, the boss will ask you to do something and it will not be given back on time, or so many other problems will be there, ego problems. Then you will tell lies, which is detrimental to spiritual life. So, why do I tell all this to you, Surendra? You work in the merchant's office. I say this to you because you have many duties to perform there in your office. You tell lies at the office. Then why do I eat the food you offer me even though you tell lies in the office? Because you have a good nature. What is that? Because you give your money in charity to the poor people. That one good thing you have, that unselfishness, giving money and other things to the poor people, that goodness. Because of that, I take the fruits or anything which you bring. Otherwise, you tell so much of lies in the office. I couldn't have touched the food which you have bought. But why do I do that? Why do I take food from you? Then why do I eat the food you offer me? Because you give your money in charity. So charity is praised by Ramakrishna Seva, Jiva Seva, Jiva Daya. So serving the living beings, serving the human beings, serving the poor, serving the needy, the Lord likes you very much if you do that. Whatever other bad nature, whatever other bad tendencies or sins may be there in you, but if you serve the devotees, if you serve the living beings, if you serve the poor people, the needy, the sick, then God will be highly pleased with you. He will forgive all the other bad traits in you. All the other sins will be forgiven if you can do the service of the poor. So you can see it here, Ramakrishna is stressing it, is telling it. Why do I say all this to you, Surendra? Because you work in the merchant's office. I say this to you because you have many duties to perform there. You tell lies at the office while working hours. Just go and watch yourself. You may think you will not be, but so many places we lie. And it will take us down in our spiritual life when we lie, even for fun. So Ramakrishna is telling you tell lies at the office. Then why do I eat the food you offer me? Because you give your money in charity. You help the poor people, the needy, the diseased. So I can take the food you bring. Then why do I eat the food you offer me? Because you give your money in charity. You give away more than you earn. The seed of the melon is bigger than the fruit. As the saying goes, I cannot eat anything offered by miserly people. So the Lord will not accept any gifts, any fruits, any offerings given by miserly people. I need not point out who are miserly people, you yourself can find out. Conjuse, they call. So the Lord will not accept offerings from conjuse, miserly people, selfish people. But on the contrary, the Lord will accept the food offerings of the broad minded, the kind, the people who serve the poor, the needy. So the Lord loves them very much. He takes their offerings with great joy. So now you can find out how you can serve the Lord, how you can please the Lord. So even though you have many mistakes, drawbacks in you, the only criteria by which you can please God is service to human beings. Yes, do serve the animals, be kind to the animals, but the highest manifestation of God is human beings. And still more higher manifestation is in the good people. So, if you serve the human beings, the sick, the needy, the poor, then the Lord will be highly pleased with you. Then whatever you give, the Lord will accept from your hands. Contrary, Ramakrishna is openly telling, I cannot accept fruits or money or food from the miserly people, from the conjuice people. They will go on collecting money, amassing money. Neither will they use nor will they give anybody. They will starve their own family, themselves, and simply keep in the bank, and some thief or somebody will go and steal it. Or some bad guy will catch hold of that money and he will finish it off. I read long back in Chinese news, there was a rich man in China who was very old and sick. He had a lot of money, he was doing a lot of business. He married a beautiful wife and he was living. Then finally one day, because of his old age and disease, he passed away. All the wealth went to the wife. Now the wife, young wife, married the driver and they are living happily. All that he amassed, the miserly man, he amassed all that wealth. He did so much of hard work to get that wealth. He didn't enjoy. Now the driver of that person is enjoying it. Like that, miserly people have this selfish tendency. They don't give out any people. They don't share their wealth or anything with other people. Naturally, the Lord doesn't accept any offerings from them. So Ramakrishna is telling, I cannot eat anything offered by miserly people. Their wealth is squandered in three ways. The miserly people, the selfish people, their wealth is squandered in three ways according to Ramakrishna. First, litigation. You give a lot of money, the miserly people give a lot of money to the court, the lawyers. Litigation. Second, thieves. Thieves will come and loot, or they may deceive you and get money from you. Robbers. Third, physicians. Doctors, you get lot of disease and you have to pay all your money to the doctors, physician, and medicines. Fourthly, they are wicked. Children's extravagance, it is like that. So only wicked people, wicked children will be born to them. So such wicked children of the miserly and the bad people who have got the wealth in a miserly way, they don't give to anybody. So finally the fourth one is the extravagant, bad, wicked children will be born to them and they will squander it. So Ramakrishna is telling, please note it, I cannot eat anything offered by miserly people. Their wealth is squandered in these ways. Litigation, firstly litigation, second, thieves and robbers, third, physicians and doctors, fourth, their wicked children, extravagance, it is like that. The devotees listened with great attention to Sri Ramakrishna's words, because it is directly told to all the people there. It's connected to our own life. So we can start examining ourselves, going deep into our personality and find out what's our nature. Will the Lord accept the food I give to Him? Am I really worthy? Should I not give up all those bad things and go forward towards Lord and become unselfish? That's a saying in English, dog in the manger. You know, the manger is the place where you feed the cows with grass, dry grass, or some other eatables. So that it's just like the cake, some oil cake and many other things will be fed to the cow. So when the dry grass is kept there in the manger, what happens is, it will be a little warm in the cold country. The dog wants the warmth of that grass, dry grass. It goes and sleeps in the manger. Now the cow comes. That is the food of the cow. That is the manger of the cow, where it is given the food. But this fellow, this dog has gone there. Neither will he eat the grass, nor will he allow the cow to eat the grass. It will just growl and snare at the cow. So that proverb in English is dog in the manger. Likewise, these miserly people, they will amass wealth, they will neither use it for themselves, nor they give in charity to the poor people or help other people. And now, how Ramakrishna is giving them, how that money will be squandered? Four ways: litigation, thieves and robbers, physicians, doctor because you get disease, both their wicked children's extravagance. So the devotees listened with great attention to Sri Ramakrishna's those wonderful words. Now, when Ramakrishna was telling all these things to all the devotees there in Dakshineshwar, now it was the turn of Surendra to ask Sri Ramakrishna. Surendra is telling Ramakrishna, I cannot meditate well on God. I repeat the Divine Mother's name now and then, lying in bed. I repeat her name and fall asleep. Now Ramakrishna is telling, that's enough. Do not worry. That's enough. You remember her, isn't it? You remember God. That's enough, don't you? That's enough. See, what a liberal attitude. How simple Ramakrishna is making religion. That's enough. You remember her. You remember Divine Mother, isn't it? Don't you? And Surendra told, I cannot meditate well. I repeat Divine Mother's name now and then. Lying in the bed, I repeat the name of the Divine Mother and fall asleep. Is it okay? Sri Ramakrishna told, that's enough. Do not worry. You remember her, isn't it? Our remembrance of the Divine Mother, remembrance of God is very, very important. That's enough. You remember her, don't you? So remembering God, whether you are sleeping, Ate bhi Ram kaho, sote bhi Ram kaho, daudte bhi Ram kaho, Ram, Ram, Ram. Whatever you are doing, sote bhi Ram kaho, daudte bhi Ram kaho, khate bhi Ram kaho. Even while taking your food, repeat the name of the Lord. Think of God. Remembering God is very, very important. That's enough. You remember her, don't you? Told Ramakrishna. Surendra observed that some of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples were practicing spiritual disciplines, rigorous spiritual disciplines, under the guidance of Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar. Naturally, when he saw that, see, this is the advantage of satsanga, good company. When you come to the company of the people who are more greater than you in nature and qualities, then you will feel that healthy competition. I too want to attain that. Healthy jealousy. It's not a bad jealousy, it's a good jealousy. I too want to do that. I too want to become like that. So that is the advantage of going to the satsanga. So here, when he used to come to Ramakrishna regularly, he saw many of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna were practicing spiritual disciplines under the guidance of Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar. Naturally, the desire to do likewise came to him. So naturally, when you see that, you too want to do, you too want to imitate. So that's the advantage of having good company. You get good inspiration. Naturally, the desire to do sadhana, likewise, like all the other disciples, came to him. After informing Master about his plan, he came one day to Dakshineshwar with a bed and other personal things and spent a couple of nights in Dakshineshwar. This greatly upset his wife. However, the wife said to Surendra, you may go anywhere you like during the daytime, but at night time you must not leave home. Although Surendra's wife prevented him from spending nights at Dakshineshwar, his mind was yearning for God. His mind was crying for God. He was always thinking, see, the Obstacles, the hurdles are also of great helps. Many times we think that difficulties and hurdles in the life are bad. No, they're very good. It increases your vyakulata, your yearning. Your divine discontentment will be increased if you take it positively. See now, the wife put an hurdle. She told you can go daytime wherever you like. In the night time you cannot leave. To do sadhana there in the Kshaneshwar, you have to be in the house. So, although Surendra's wife prevented him from spending nights at the Kshaneshwar, now the mind of Surendra was panting, crying for God. His body was at home, but his mind was with Sri Ramakrishna. So, yesterday I gave the example of one college. There, the teacher, physics teacher, is asking the questions to the students. What is the use of the brake in the vehicle? The car has a brake, the bus has a brake, the train has a brake. So what is the use of the brake in the vehicle? So many of his students started giving different reasons. Some told to stop the vehicle, some told to prevent accidents. They gave so many beautiful explanations. But the teacher liked one explanation very much. And what was that? One of the students stood up and told, "Sir, the brakes are there in the vehicle to accelerate the vehicle, to increase the speed of the vehicle." That answer was very good. Now, suppose you have a vehicle. You come to know there is a brake failure or there is no brake in your vehicle. How much speed, with how much velocity can you travel? How more can you accelerate the vehicles? You will be so afraid even to go in 1 kilometer per hour or even half kilometer per hour because there are no brakes. Anytime there may be accident, then it will be difficult to control the vehicle. So without the brakes, now at the most, even the best car you can move with the speed of 1 or 2 kilometers per hour, that's all. And what is the use of the vehicle? You can go by walk or running or jogging. So brakes are very necessary to accelerate. So when the brakes are there, you can safely go at a very high speed. Because any time you apply the brake, the vehicle stops. Likewise, difficulties, scoldings, disciplines, hurdles are gifts from God, miseries from God. So as Swami Vivekananda puts it, difficulties are better teachers than happiness. Why? See, the difficulties are making you move more speedily with high velocity towards God. Now you can see Surendra's wife prevented him from going to Ramakrishna. But his mind, because of that, his hunger for spirituality increased. So constantly he was thinking of Ramakrishna. He wanted to be there. His body was there in the house, but his mind was completely in the Kshaneshwar at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, thinking of the Lord, thinking of spirituality and such things only. So can you see now how you can convert the difficulties, how you can convert the calamities, how you can convert the challenges into opportunities? See here, change of attitude. You can do anything. So if you change your attitude, you can change the world, you can reduce the intensity of the difficulty you have. So we learn this wonderful thing from this Surendra's life incidents. Although Surendra's wife prevented Surendra from spending nights at the Kshaneshwar, his mind was crying for God. His body was at home, but his mind was with Sri Ramakrishna. That is very important. It's not important where your body lies or where your body is, but it is important where your mind and heart is. So Surendra was not in Dakshineshwar. He couldn't come to Ramakrishna because the wife prevented. But his mind, can the wife or anybody stop the mind of a person, the heart of the person? The more there is obstacle, the more you build the dam, stronger dam or a bigger dam to the water, the more the strength of the water increases. It can just blast the dam and go away if you don't channelize it properly. So the more the obstacle, the more the strength of your mind, the more the spirituality, more the difficulty, more spiritual you will become. If you have the right attitude, you can convert that difficulty into spirituality. So it is not easy to become a disciple of an incarnation of God, such as Sri Ramakrishna. The way such great teachers discipline their followers is often difficult to understand. Sometimes it is through love, sometimes through indifference, and sometimes through harshness. So we will see how gradually and slowly Ramakrishna disciplined and removed the hurdles, removed the karmas of Surendra, and lifted him up gradually to the realms of spirituality. We will look to that in our next session. We will stop our discussion now because in the Bangalore ashram we have less Wi-Fi. It may go off anytime. We have already completed a lot of things about Surendra, and also here there are many disciples of revered Gautamanandaji Maharaj. Revered Gautamanandaji Maharaj is in Jairam Bhatti. He will move to Vrindavan and he will give mantra diksha there to the devotees in Vrindavan, and also he will be coming to Bangalore. There will be 2 days of spiritual initiation in Bangalore, and he will go to another 20-30 kilometers away, Shivanahalli. There too he will be inaugurating a CBSE school for girls and boys separately, and then he will be giving spiritual initiation there. There is another place from here, also Ramakrishna Mutt. There also Gautamanandaji Maharaj will be giving spiritual initiation. Then Maharaj will be giving spiritual initiation, as I told you, in Vrindavan too. So many devotees are getting that spiritual initiation. So all of you can start praying, because if Corona reduces and everything become well, we can invite revered Gautamanandaji Maharaj to come to Johannesburg, South Africa, and give initiation to the people so that people can be blessed and get the name of the Lord and move forward in spiritual life. So let us pray that everything becomes congenial and revered Gautamanandaji Maharaj can come to South Africa. Now, if there are any questions, if there are any doubts, we can encourage that. There are no questions on the YouTube. So on the YouTube live chat, there are no questions. Are there any questions in the Google meeting here? Any doubts, any questions on what we have discussed today?
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om Kolinji.
Swamiji, I'm a little cross that, or sad that you came so late to us. We covered ourselves with all these years of worldly things and all this worldly dirt. Now it takes so much of scrubbing and rubbing to get it polished, and it's still not getting polished out. So we need you back quickly. I thank you, sir.
Yeah, nothing to worry. You have come at the right time. So the important thing is just the Lord doesn't want anything from you. He wants only your bhakti, your devotion, your love. That's all, nothing else. He doesn't want anything else. Give that intensely, and you can progress in leaps and bounds.
Yes, Swami. Thank you, sir.
Om. Any questions, any doubts on today's discussion? Okay, there are no questions, then we'll conclude with the prayer. Om Priyatam Pundarikakshaha सर्वयज्ञेश्वरो हरिः तस्मिन् तुष्टे जगत्तुष्टं प्रीणिते प्रीणितं जगत् हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु नमस्ते थैंक यू ओम नमो नारायणाय